more commentary on the decadent, satanic state of our leadership. Donald Trump has released or promoted an AI video, which seems to it sort of fantasizes or dramatizes the day after in Gaza, when Gaza is finally transformed into a golden Dubai-like Riviera in which will be showered by the wealth of Elon Musk, and Donald Trump will dance with harlots, and trans belly dancers will perform on the ashes of a site of a Holocaust. And with no further ado, here's the video.
Donald is coming to set you free, bringing the light for all to see. No more tunnels, no more fear. Trump Gaza is finally here. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new life. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza #1. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new life. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza #1.
Yeah. Let's just this is the header image, though. This is idolatry. It's like the golden calf for like Trump cultists and Zionists. The golden Trump in the middle of Gaza City. It kind of looks like one of the rotundas in Gaza City.
Imagine being in Gaza and seeing that. I mean, you've lived through a Holocaust funded and armed by the U.S., and then you see what's now coming out of the leader of the U.S. And I mean, if you were to watch that, and especially if you've never been outside of Gaza and you've been trapped there your whole life because of Israel's siege, like you must think the U.S. is the craziest country ever. I mean, and how can you not come to that conclusion if this is what the president is putting out? It's just so it shows also, though, that I think Trump just likes being a troll, and I don't think he's serious about his annexation plans for Gaza. I never took that call seriously. I just took that his call for U.S. owning Gaza as just him reiterating the Israeli consensus that Palestinians will never have the right to self-determination. That was his own way. That was his crude way of basically announcing that was going to be his policy too. And I think he delights in just trolling people and offending people, even people who've lived through a Holocaust.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. I don't think there's any workable plan to simply ethnically cleanse over 2 million people in Gaza, though they'll try to make their lives miserable enough to force them to leave. Egypt and Jordan are not likely to just allow them in. And Trump is going to be bogged down in so many other scandals soon. And the Ukraine initiative is obviously taking precedence. And we'll talk about it later. That's an area where Trump can actually end a conflict. So you might be right. He's just trolling here. But at the same time, he's normalizing a solution to a crisis that Israel has always been seeking to mainstream, which is ethnic cleansing, Nakba 2.0, as on October 8th, 2023, Likud parliamentarian Ariel Kalner called for. They just want mass ethnic cleansing because they don't see any way solving it. And the other issue here is the vision for Gaza that Trump is putting forward has been put forward in a more serious fashion, at least through blueprints by more characters who are taken more seriously within the Davos globalist realm. For example, John Kerry. I wrote about how John Kerry and Tony Blair tapped McKinsey Consulting to put forward a plan for Gaza to basically be turned into kind of a series of sweatshops for manufacturers and companies in the Gulf, like basically providing cheap labor to Dubai And even before that, Thomas Friedman in 2005, I mean, Thomas Friedman is like the voice of Davos and one of the most elite members of the Democratic Party's commentariat, put forward the idea that Gaza could actually, following Ariel Sharon's quote unquote disengagement, which was actually just setting the stage for the siege of Gaza, be transformed into Dubai. I mean, this is what he wrote in a 2005 column. The issue for the Palestinians is no longer about how they resist the Israeli occupation in Gaza, but whether they build a decent mini state there, a Dubai on the Mediterranean. And so what he's saying there is there's no occupation anymore. And Palestinians shouldn't even care about it or resisting it. It really reads as uninformed and delusional after October 7th. But if they fail to produce a Dubai, if they fail to allow a Trump Tower to be erected in the heart of the Jabalia refugee camp, well, then they deserve siege. They deserve occupation. They're not fit for the modern world. And that is the sort of bipartisan racism and exterminationism that I think set the stage for Donald Trump to release this video so casually and to normalize the final solution for Gaza with his trademark tacky, sleazy, cretinous touch where everything's gold. And, if they can normalize that, then why can't people from the other side normalize a solution which is much more likely to lead to peace, in which Jewish, Israeli, Zionist settlers return to their countries of origin and are freed from the militaristic death cult in which they've been indoctrinated, and stop attacking their neighbors continuously and stop occupying people? Why doesn't Germany take accountability for what it did during the Holocaust and stop forcing the problem onto the back of indigenous Palestinians far away? Why don't they take responsibility? Why doesn't Poland take responsibility? Why don't the French, who collaborated with the Nazis, and the Ukrainians who collaborated, and the Romanians who collaborated, why don't they take responsibility? If they're going to normalize ethnic cleansing, then why can't the reabsorption of the settler population, the settler colonial population, be normalized? And so, I started thinking about this today, Aaron, and then I started working with some AI programs, and I started trying to make like a response video to Trump. And I literally spent like 15 minutes doing it, started trying to make the song. The song they made in that video is kind of catchy in a silly way. And working with, and then I collaborated with a friend, and we kind of came up with this EDM anthem, but we don't have the video yet. But if you want to play the anthem, this was like this is the beginning of a response to the Trump video, which clearly took like a lot of processing power to make. Like 3 seconds of that video probably took 20 minutes to process. But here's the audio.
Now, you wanted this to be EDM, but the AI gave you something different, right?
Yeah, it's more like an anthemic electro anthem. We couldn't. I wanted like a Jersey club vibe. I also have like a folk, kind of like a pop folk version, but it's not as good. So this is the best version that came out, that AI spit out. But I wrote these lyrics in like 2 minutes, and we put this together in like 15.
All right. We have a Grayzone live stream.
It's called Rising Currents.
Rising Currents, live here on the Grayzone. Let's take a listen.
Resistance axis making it rain. Settlers going back to Ukraine. Netanyahu going insane. Palestinians are home to stay. The flood is coming, the deal is done. There's no future for baby sons. They're on the run, they're on the run. They know the time has come. Zionism, an evil vision. Zionism on the run. The deal is done, they're on the run. You know the time has come.
You can do the Trump dance for this part. There's more if you want it.
Rising courage, shifting the fate.
Time to
If
drop
the
the
world
volley.
unites against the hate, it will not ever be the same. Palestine will rise again. The wave is rising, the time has come. There's no future for baby sons. They're on the run, they're on the run. They know the time has come. Zionism, an evil vision. Zionism on the run. The deal is done, they're on the run. You know the time has come.
There we go.
All right. Well, that was Rising Currents, Grayzone premiere response to Trump, and AI. It's dangerous.
So you wrote the lyrics to that and you plugged it into AI, and that's what it gave you. It's
Yeah. Well, I plugged it into AI, and some other versions came out, and then I asked a friend to plug it into a different AI program, and we got to that one. I have some folk versions. One sounds like a collaboration between Jason Mraz and Bert Jansch. Another one is kind of like folk pop, but this one, is the most anthemic and closest to my original version of kind of like a EDM earworm.
Yeah, well, that part with the loud synths, the EDM, that sounded like that could have been played anytime at my gym. The really annoying music that is played there. So the AI did a good job with that one, for sure.
I can see like some, Qassam operation videos in that, when the beat drops, I can see a video. So maybe we'll actually make it. But Zionists would be outraged to hear that. They would call it, a whole, like an anthem, an anti-Semitic anthem. They would be so outraged. Maybe they will get outraged by, us just playing it on this stream. Somewhat tongue-in-cheek, somewhat, but they delight in what Donald Trump just did, and so they should really feel what it's like for the shoe to be on the other foot.
Yeah, and they find it funny. They find it funny, this like AI mock video of a Gaza Riviera that's still going through a genocide, where people are sleeping in what remains of their homes in rubble. They can't even get proper tents and mobile homes because Israel's been blocking those, although they've relented somewhat in recent days. But still, so many people are bearing, cold temperatures, sleeping in tents and wet tents, living in conditions that those of us outside Gaza can't even imagine. And then Trump drops that video, and Israel supporters have a laugh. They think it's all funny.